If you watch the news, you probably think the only places growing in America are sun-soaked cities in Florida or massive tech hubs in Texas. We have all heard the stories of the mass exodus from California and New York. People are packing up moving trucks, fleeing skyrocketing rent, and looking for a better standard of living. But while everyone was distracted by the explosive, chaotic growth of places like Austin and Miami, a quiet migration has been happening right in the middle of the country. A mid-sized city, surrounded by endless miles of flat agricultural farmland, has quietly built one of the most bulletproof economies in the United States. I'm talking about Omaha, Nebraska. Historically, when people think of Omaha, they think of exactly two things: steaks and Warren Buffett. But if you look at the actual data in 2026, Omaha is experiencing a massive, unexpected boom. Over the last few years, the Omaha metro population has steadily climbed past 885,000 residents. It is pulling educated workers, massive tech infrastructure, and young families out of the coastal rat race. So, how did a quiet city in the Rust Belt periphery manage to become an economic powerhouse without the chaotic growing pains of other boomtowns? The answer comes down to three things: fiber optics, Fortune 500 stability, and the ultimate Gen X dream: affordable real estate. To understand why Omaha is booming today, you have to look underground. Back in the Cold War, the United States military built the Strategic Air Command headquarters just outside of Omaha. Because the military needed a secure, centralized communication hub, telecommunication companies laid a massive amount of heavy-duty infrastructure right through the city. Decades later, when the internet became the backbone of the global economy, Omaha was sitting on top of a gold mine. The city is located directly in the center of the country. That means data sent from Omaha to New York or Omaha to Los Angeles takes the exact same amount of time. Today, this region is known as the Silicon Prairie. If you drive through the Omaha suburbs of Papillion or Council Bluffs, you will not see endless cornfields. You will see massive, sprawling, windowless buildings. These are hyperscale data centers. Tech giants like Google and Meta have poured billions of dollars into building massive data centers right here in Nebraska. But why here? Why not Silicon Valley? Because running 1 million computer servers requires a ridiculous amount of electricity and cooling. Nebraska offers incredibly cheap municipal power, a highly reliable electrical grid, and a cooler climate that keeps those servers from overheating. This tech infrastructure has completely changed the local job market. It is not just agricultural jobs anymore. Omaha has become a magnet for network engineers, cybersecurity analysts, and IT professionals who want coastal salaries without the coastal cost of living. When we talk about the Silicon Prairie, we are talking about a region that is actively recruiting top talent. Because the cost of living is so low, companies here can afford to pay competitive salaries while giving their employees a quality of life they simply cannot find anywhere else. And it is not just tech. Healthcare is a massive driver here, with the University of Nebraska Medical Center leading the charge in global research and infectious disease treatment. It is a quiet giant in the medical field. But a city cannot survive on tech data centers and hospitals alone. What makes Omaha unique and what draws so many people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s to move here is absolute economic stability. Omaha is incredibly recession-proof, and that is because it is the headquarters for several massive Fortune 500 companies that operate in industries that never stop making money. Obviously, there is Berkshire Hathaway, run by Warren Buffett, but look past that. Omaha is the home base for Union Pacific, one of the largest freight train railroad networks on the planet. Whether the economy is booming or crashing, physical goods still need to be shipped across the United States on steel rails. Then you have Kiewit Corporation. They are one of the largest construction and engineering firms in North America. When the government passes a billion-dollar infrastructure bill to build new highways and bridges, Kiewit is the company putting the shovels in the dirt. And finally, you have the financial and insurance sectors anchored by Mutual of Omaha. Insurance and finance are the ultimate safe haven industries. When you combine heavy rail logistics, national infrastructure construction, and massive insurance firms, you get a local economy that does not crash when a new smartphone app goes out of business. Because of this corporate fortress, Omaha consistently boasts an unemployment rate that sits well below the national average. If you want a reliable career path where you are not constantly worried about massive corporate layoffs, Omaha is where you go. So, you have the high-paying jobs and the economic stability. But what is it actually like to live there? This brings us to the real reason people are packing up and moving to the Midwest. In a city like Los Angeles or Seattle, making $100,000 a year means you are probably still renting a cramped apartment and fighting 2 hours of gridlock traffic every day. In Omaha, that same salary buys you the American dream. The suburbs surrounding Omaha, places like Elkhorn, Papillion, and Gretna, offer massive, newly built 3 to 4 bedroom houses with actual backyards, highly rated public schools, and virtually zero traffic congestion. A 20-minute commute here actually means 20 minutes. But Omaha knew that to attract top-tier talent, they needed more than just quiet suburbs. They needed urban amenities. Recently, the city completed a massive $300 million revitalization project called the Riverfront. They completely transformed the downtown area along the Missouri River, building modern walking paths, green spaces, and urban entertainment districts that rival anything you would find in Denver or Chicago. The riverfront isn't just a patch of grass. It features a sprawling promenade, an interactive science center, and a massive outdoor amphitheater that brings the entire community together on summer nights. It proves that you do not have to live on the coast to have a vibrant, walkable downtown. But no city is perfect. And if you are thinking about moving to Omaha, there are 2 major reality checks you need to know about. First is the weather. The Midwest does not care about your comfort. Winters here are brutal. We are talking sub-zero temperatures, heavy snowstorms, and biting winds that sweep right across the plains. If you are moving from California and you do not know how to drive a car on black ice, you are in for a rude awakening. The second, and much larger issue, is the property taxes. Remember how we talked about those highly rated public schools and clean suburban streets? That comes at a cost. Nebraska has some of the highest property tax rates in the entire country. So, while the initial purchase price of a home might seem incredibly cheap compared to New York, your monthly tax bill will quietly eat into your budget year after year. Despite the winter freeze in the tax bills, the math still heavily favors the Silicon Prairie. Omaha represents a return to practical living. It is a city built on physical rail lines, massive data servers, and quiet corporate stability. It may not have the ocean views of Miami or the chaotic hype of Austin, but for hundreds of thousands of people, Omaha offers something much more valuable. A place where hard work actually pays off, and where you can finally afford to put down roots. The story of Omaha's rise is proof that the most stable economic futures aren't always found in the loudest cities, but in the ones that quietly focus on infrastructure, logistics, and reliability. It's a blueprint for what happens when a city decides to build for the long haul. If you found this deep dive interesting, I've linked a video on the screen right now that explores how another mid-sized city completely reinvented itself against the odds. Don't forget to subscribe to stay in the loop on our next analysis, and I'll see you in the next one.